Welcome back to another edition of Strengthening Oklahoma. And this edition of Strengthening Oklahoma is brought to you by Pub W. Whether it's brunch, lunch, happy hour, or dinner, Pub W has it all. Visit pubw.com to find a location near you. We are inching closer and closer to game day yet again in Ames, Iowa this week as the Sooners look to make it two straight off the bye. We welcome in safety Mr. Key Lawrence to the show. Key, how we doing, man?
I'm all right, man. How you doing?
Fantastic and improving. Fantastic and improving. Bye week treats you well. How's the body feeling, man? You feeling good? Ready to roll?
Yeah, I feel better. Definitely.
Yeah.
Good.
So
always nice to have a little week off.
Yeah, you missed some time, right? With being banged up. Are you feeling now? You're never back to 100% during the season, right? But are you feeling as close to 100% as you felt in a while?
Oh yeah, no doubt. No doubt. The whole thing about this bye week was to take advantage of it. Everyone has one. It just depends on who's going to do the most with it. So I try to, like I just said, I literally just got out of the recovery room. So I'm trying to get my body back to 100 as close as I can.
That's great, man. And it seemed like they're in the Kansas game. You were flying around. You're making some plays. Just is it, as your body gets right and just the understanding the defense, is it starting to kind of settle in and take hold for you individually?
Oh yeah, it's just trying to slow the process down. Just understand that I gotta stay on top of my body, man. Your body's a temple. You gotta treat it as such, and in your mind as well. Trying to keep everything whole. And just out there being flying around, having fun again, man. Just trying to take it one day at a time with it.
So a couple of the plays in that Kansas game, right? It was clear to me. You saw the formation. You saw what they were doing with motion. You knew what was coming. You were playing with great anticipation. You're coming downhill, right? Making tackles right around, the line of scrimmage. Is it starting to slow down, like the system, right? And processing everything. Is it starting to slow down for you a little bit?
Yeah, it was more for me. It was just understanding the opponent's like situation and the scheme that they had. Like understanding with this formation what we're gonna get, if this man lines up right here, what he likes to do, what his tendencies are, and I was just trying to like obliterate them with that type of thing because they had a lot of like miscues that I can like see and I can pick up on. And this BV just trying to tell me every day like the preparation come with the separation, and I'm just trying to separate myself by over preparing for my opponent and then in the schemes as well.
I love that, man. I absolutely love that. Just overall, as far as the defense goes, did you guys make strides in the bye week? I mean, I think it's clear you guys, even though with the victory, still not where you want to be defensively. Do you feel like not just you individually, but as a whole, the defense was able to make some strides during that off week?
Yeah. And I said this earlier, man. Coach Chavis and a lot of the other coaching staff, they were just telling us that everyone gets this opportunity, but we have to make sure we make the best of it. We weren't trying to have that bye week mentality. We weren't trying to have like just a rest day mentality. We went with the week that we had and try to work, man. We literally went to practice with work, the mentality, just trying to have fun with it still, just understand that we still have a long season ahead of us. And we just try to do it such and do our job as well, so.
You mentioned that the bye week for you, a lot about getting your body right. Now, you always go back to the fundamentals though during the bye week, right? And the focus is on getting better. Like you're focusing on Iowa State a little bit, but it's usually about getting you guys better. What did you focus on personally during the bye week? What were like your points of emphasis during the bye week when it comes to on the field?
So I feel like I find myself getting tight faster. Like I'll just like run around, just having heavy legs and stuff like that. So I just try to focus on like my flexibility, my mobility again. I felt like it's big for me because you're not gonna run fast. You're not gonna decelerate and accelerate quicker if your body's all tight, your tissues tight. So I just try to like just get in the rare room therapy, the red light, cryo, just like stretching, just like all the little things like that again. And pretty much everybody did the same thing. We just try to make it like we try to make this like the emphasis of just like recovering on our body, getting our bodies back.
You said red light therapy. Is that infrared? Like,
infrared,
I'm sorry,
yeah.
I'm old. I don't know this new stuff. What's that?
So it's two different type of red lights. So you have the red bed. It's like 1,000 or like 900 to 1,000. Like watts, I want to say. I'm not sure. Then like you have the cocoon, so it's like 600, and then it's pretty much just like help with the information, like open wounds and stuff like that.
Listen, man, whatever it takes, right? I mean, whatever it takes, that's what you got to do. I'm more of a sauna, hot tub type of guy, little yoga in my life, keep it limber. That's what I go with. Maybe I need to get on this red light therapy.
Yeah,
situation.
It's new here. BV trying to make it to where the recovery and the sports science aspect at Oklahoma is like brought on to any other program. So we're just trying to make sure that we stay on top of that.
I'm sorry, I've got dogs going absolutely bonkers.
Can't even
right
hear
now,
man.
So
you're good.
My apologies if you can hear my dogs. They're literally barking as we speak. As far as, a name that I don't think a lot of people were very familiar with, Robert Spears Jennings.
Yeah.
We got to see him on the field. What was it like to see the young man out there flying around making some plays? And tell the audience a little bit about this young safety.
So for the people who don't know, I'm going to start with this. Robert Spears Jennings is a freshman right now who's going to be an absolute dog, okay? So throughout the fall camp, throughout the spring, he came in a little early, which was good to get in the playbook early, and I immediately took him under my wing because I could just see he was a bigger guy, bigger safety, and he understood that the transformation from offense, because he got recruited a receiver in high school, I'm sure. Then he made the switch to safety in college, so I just had to tell him that just take the process slow. We all understand it. We all learn new defense together. And I just had to, and it was just like a mental thing for him, understand that it's going to happen fast. Like, it's nothing like high school. Like, everything is different. But I was so happy to see him out there because he was trying to get down on himself. But like everyone does, like, as all freshmen want to get in and play, have an immediate impact. And I tell them it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So we just got to understand that we got to take it one step at a time, me and you included. And then it was just out there, happy to see him out there balling, man, having fun. Like, I was so happy for him.
Yeah, the future looks bright for him. There's no doubt. He's got the size, the length, right? The ability that you need. But patience, man, and that's a thing. And I don't know if you went through this at Tennessee because you were a really highly recruited guy, right? But how, as one of the old guys, how do you approach that with the young guys? Because for whatever reason, if you're not playing as a true freshman now, like, people think you suck,
exactly.
Which is not the case. Like, how do you and the other veterans kind of help those young guys understand, hey, this is a process. It takes time to get to where you need to get to be out there on the field.
So first thing first, you have to let the outside world remain on the outside. Keep the main things in the circle tight. So for me, of course, I felt like when I was a freshman, I was highly recruited, as you said. So I also got down on myself. But it was the main thing was understanding that I have to learn from the guys ahead of me, because that's what wise guys do. They learn from the people above them and get the wisdom that they didn't do, and for the mistakes they made, I correct myself from the mistakes they made, so I won't make the mistakes myself. Just understand that it's gonna take time. That's all it is time, patience, and then you just gotta go earn it and go get it. And then after that, it's easy.
No question. I think that's great perspective and great advice for some of those young cats. And hey, man, different guys are ready at different times. And as long as you stick with the game plan, keep developing, keep working on yourself, when your opportunity presents itself, you have the chance to hit it out of the park.
But you have to stay ready, though, Dusty. You got to make sure you're ready when your opportunity strikes.
And that's exactly what Mr. Jennings did, right? He got an opportunity, finally was able to make his presence felt, and I thought he did a nice job going out there making some plays. Let's get to Iowa State. It's a big game this week. Iowa State, kind of the same position you guys were before the bye, looking and starving for that first conference victory. They're 0-4, but, man, they've been close. It's a good football team. 4 losses by combined 14 points. As far as their offense goes, anything jump off the page at you, stand out as far as how Iowa State is going to try to attack you guys?
Yeah, so Iowa State is a good offense, man. They try to use a lot of motion just to mess with your brain, just get your eyes fixated on the motion, and they try to hit you the opposite. So it's just a little things that we got to pick up on, just understanding the tendency that they have with the receivers, know who their key players are and what they like to do. We're just going to take their weaknesses.
So with what we've seen from them these last couple of years, right? A lot of big personnel, the tight ends, all that. They're not doing as much as that, right? And it's probably because they don't have those bodies at tight end. They feel can play at a high enough level, but also you mentioned the wide receivers. they got some pretty talented wideouts. Do you think that's why they've gone away from some of those big personnel packages?
No doubt. Like you said, they're pretty much used to having the bigger guys up front, having them in the 12 personnel, even 13, 21, stuff like that. So you're just trying to get used to like having them split out a little bit more, using a little more receivers heavy. They use like they favorite target is number 8, so everybody knows that. So we try to go.
That's an understatement.
Yeah, everybody knows that the ball's gonna go to number 8, so we understand what is gonna happen.
That number 8 is Xavier Hutchinson. He's a two-time first-team All Big 12 receiver. He is physical. He is strong, and he'll go up and get the football. What are you guys going to have to do to slow him down? And I guess really when he does get his looks and his touches, make sure that he doesn't turn a 5 to 8 yard gain into a 30, 40, 50-yard gain.
Exactly. So this is all we're going to take, is to do our job and just do what we need to do and do it well. We don't have to go out there looking for plays, let the plays come to us, and just do what we have to do within the scheme, and everything will work out fine.
So looking at, some of the new wrinkles for their offense, some more RPO stuff, RPO stuff than we've seen from them in the past. And this is just something that I always wonder. How difficult are those concepts on safeties? Because, there's time after time on tape. I'm watching Iowa State's offense. They got an offensive lineman blocking the inside backer. They're throwing slanted behind. You're just like, how do you defend that as a safety? Like, what goes through your head when you're watching the backers get blocked, but all of a sudden there's a throw coming in behind it?
You just have to be patient, man. You can't see too much, but you can't see too little. You know what I'm saying? So you just got to be at the right place, right time. Take away the RPO with body position and try to look for everything else.
What about the quarterback, Hunter Deckers? He's got 7 picks on the year. I believe in his 4 Big 12 games, he's got 4 interceptions. Like, what has he shown on film, both with the good and maybe some areas that you guys could potentially take advantage of?
The thing that he's shown on film is that he's confident in his receivers, obviously. And he's not scared to throw it up, and he's athletic as well. Big athletic guy. And he's a lefty, so it's kind of giving me the misdirection. But we have this every day practicing with Dylan. So he's kind of one of those guys that you can't get too high and too low on, because he showed a lot, like a big time play, that he also showed like where he isn't so consistent as well. So we just gotta keep a happy medium with this guy.
What about his mobility, right? Because I don't think people view him really as a dual threat guy, but there are some clips. The big dude can move a little bit.
Yeah, he can move for sure. Like, we got to make sure we come up and rally and tackle him, like, because he's a big guy. So we got to understand that we got to get him down quick.
We've talked a lot about the pass game, receivers, quarterback. What about their run game? They got Jarrell Brock. They haven't really been able to get it going as much as they'd like to, as much as we clearly saw with Breece Hall the last couple of years. But I'm sure it's a big point of emphasis. Matt Campbell wants to be able to run the football, wants to take some pressure off that quarterback. And that, let's just be honest, that's an area that you guys could really improve upon. Talk about Iowa State's run game. What will you guys have to do, and you in particular at the safety position, have to do well this week to limit their ability to run the football?
So first thing first, it's this having gap integrity. Like, understanding that we have to, like, plunge the gaps, build a wall. Understand that we have, if I'm in the A gap, I know that my linebacker is going to be in the B gap outside of me. Like, you just understand where we trust each other, that the person's going to be there to make that play, and we don't need to do too much, and we need to just have the gap integrity to just stay disciplined that Coach BV preaches on every day.
So, going into the bye and now heading into this week, right? The defense, you guys have not played at the level you want to play at. I think that's pretty safe to say, right?
Yep.
How valuable was the bye and like this week of practice just to reset mentally for you guys as a defense?
It was big, man. Like, it was just big for our confidence standpoint. It was big for us understanding that we have a long season ahead of us. So we're just trying to take it day by day, man. We have a life goals. We need to get 10 games. And we can't win 10 until we win 6. We can't win 10 unless we win 5. So we just try to take it day by day.
Well, very good. Hopefully you guys will improve day by day, and that'll show in Ames, Iowa, coming up this weekend. Big game with you guys and Iowa State, trying to start a little bit of a winning streak and double up on that win after Kansas. Let's get some fans questions right now. Fan questions always brought to you by Love's Travel Stops. Visit loves.com for more information on the nation's leading travel stop network that's headquartered right here in the great state of Oklahoma. Tim H., if you had to give out an MVP award to someone on the team right now, who would you give it to? I know I'd give it to.
Braden Willis.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's safe to say. The man's doing everything possible for the offense right now and for the team. So, yeah, that was easy. For sure.
What, and you've practiced against him the last couple of years. Like he's just really taken his game kind of all around, blocking, catching the ball, the effort that he plays. Like he's just taken everything to another level, right?
Yeah. So when I first got here, the first thing that impressed me was how strong he was. And like he was well conditioned. Like that was the first thing that I ever seen. Like he stood out to me beyond like everybody. And then now from seeing the transition from last year, from him just like being a more predominant blocking tight end, to him like showing that he has a variety and he can do a lot of different things and like spreading them out. Even then, when he was in the wildcat position versus Texas, like it's just showing that he has a lot of skill.
No doubt. I think that man's made himself a lot of money so far this season too.
Thanks.
So, let's hope he keeps it going, man. He's been great. Okay, here's the last one for you, Keith. This comes from Elizabeth L. She says, you guys are going to Ames. Mm-hmm. So what's your favorite part of playing a road game?
I love when I go into a stadium and I hear a couple boos. I love that.
Boos. I like it.
Boos. Because, like, it's nothing better than shutting up another crowd. Like, once you hear dead silence, it's nothing better than that. Just hearing my guys cheer, it's nothing like it, by far.
That's what I was going to say. What's the best thing about going on the road? Whenever it's silent.
Just dead silent.
What's that old thing? Like when you go to the movie theater, you used to always say silence is golden. That's what it is on the road, man. Silence is golden. It speaks volumes.
Yes. Turn that volume down all the way.
Well unfortunately in Ames, that house music DJ never turns it off.
Have you played? You haven't played in Ames yet, right? This will be your first time?
I've heard about it, though.
Bro, I don't know what they got. Like, I mean, concert speakers out the wazoo. And it's been that way for a while since Gabe was playing. I don't remember whenever I played 47 years ago if they had it, but I know when Gabe played, they did. They crank it, man. Like they're supposed to turn it off when the play begins. I don't know how accurate that is, but just get yourself ready because they pump in that music like you've never heard before.
Let's do it.
That and very long grass. It is a slow track. It's a slow track there at Ames, man.
That's what I heard.
Don't let them slow you down, man. Go play fast, have some fun, and hopefully you guys are able to come back with a victory. As always, Key, great to see you, man. Love the smile. Love that you're in good spirits, and hopefully you guys are able to put out a good performance. Thanks to you for joining us here today. And now it's time for me and my man Gabe to break it down. The breakdown brought to you by the Oklahoma Proton Center. It's one of the top cancer centers in the region using state-of-the-art proton therapy. Oklahoma Proton Center, more than a cure, quality of life. Good to see Key in good spirits as always. Sounds like he's healthy, doing well. It was really good to see Robert Spears Jennings. I think a promising young freshman. I know a lot of fans were excited to see him get out there and get an opportunity on the field. And I don't know exactly where he's at. I mean, I think it's highly questionable. Coach Venables this week left the door open, but man, Billy Bowman can't get back soon enough. I mean, it's like we almost forget about how good he was playing before he got injured and before he wasn't able to be a part of this team. And with a bye week, I think there's a chance. I don't think that there's any guarantee, but man, if there's any way Billy Bowman can be back and healthy, I don't think you rush him back at this point, but he would help the back end of that defense immensely. Would allow Woody to go back to playing more your traditional corner where I think he's more comfortable, but we'll see if he's able to make it go. But it's the sooner Billy Bowman can get back, I think the better for everybody on this defense.
Yeah, and we don't know if we're going to see him this weekend. I would sure love if he was healthy enough to play because you look at what Iowa State's strengths have been offensively. Safety play has to be good in this game. I mean, you think about what they do with Xavier Hutchinson, and let's not forget about Jalen Knoll.
Sure.
That guy can fly.
Fast.
I mean, he is fast. And when the opposing offense's strength is wide receiver, you need good safety play, especially with all the option route stuff that they do, all the high-low concepts that put safeties in conflict. Like you have to play well. And that doesn't even mention, it's not even to mention the RPO stuff that they've incorporated now. So the safety play is going to have to be really, really good, Dusty. It's got to be, or else Iowa State's going to hit some big plays.
Especially with tackling. Like you talk about that RPO stuff. I mean, sometimes they're going to get you. RPOs are tough. And especially as you kind of referenced, those linemen get up the field. You'd like to see a flag thrown. I would as a defender because it's cheating and it should be called out every single time. But oftentimes it's not. And even still, you give a hard, you ride that RPO hard, you get those backers down. All of a sudden now a big void, big space right there in the middle of your defense. And it's essential that your safeties are able to come down and tackle. Like you got to be able to catch tackle. And against a guy like Xavier Hutchinson, that's not easy. So I think you're exactly right, whether it's over the top in coverage or it's in open space, middle of the field in some of these spots, tackling is going to be such a key for the safeties in particular this matchup.
Yeah, tackling in general, right? Because you think about on the other side of things, Iowa State, I mean, man-to-man, right? Oklahoma's defense has more talent than Iowa State's. And it's not particularly close. But one thing Iowa State has done for years now under John Haycock is execute that system at a very high level. They're also the best tackling team in the conference. And it's not a bunch of blow-up hits. They get guys on the ground. They're very good at just getting guys on the ground, which sounds silly, but that's kind of the whole defense thing, right?
Yeah.
Get them down, and they do it at a very high level. So Oklahoma's going to have to do the same thing. I really am curious to see how helpful the bye was for the defense, right? Even though got the win against Kansas, gave up a bunch of yards, gave up a bunch of points, still a lot of negativity coming in from the outside that they've had to block out. Like, were they able to just reset a little bit, get right mentally, iron some things out from an assignment standpoint? I'm interested to see, right? Because I can tell you this, Oklahoma's offense is just not going to go up and down the field against Iowa State's defense.
No.
It's not going to happen. So Oklahoma's defense, they have to play at a high level in this game. And the one thing I keep coming back to, Iowa State's run game has struggled all season long.
Yes.
This cannot be a get-right game for Iowa State's run game. It's got to be a get-right game for Oklahoma's run defense.
That's what, as we talked earlier the week with Reggie Grimes, I think so fascinating about this matchup is that aspect of each side of that ball. Like Iowa State's, and they've been traditionally really good running the football the last couple of years at Breece Hall. They've struggled mightily. Oklahoma's run defense has been downright bad at times this year. So for both of those aspects of that respective sides of the ball, they look at this as an opportunity to get right. One's going to happen and one isn't. And to me, that's going to be one of the bigger indicators of who wins this game. And Oklahoma needs to be able to stop their running attack. I don't think their offensive line is particularly that great in the run game. You referenced it earlier. We don't see as many 12, one back, two tight ends. They used to run a lot of 13 personnel, one back, three tight ends, and really would make you commit. And then whenever you'd overcommit to stop the run, that's when they'd play action. They'd utilize those tight ends in the throw game. It's a more spread out offense this year.
Yeah.
And they don't have the same personnel where they were able to line up and just run it down your throat. And they don't have Breece Hall. Like, this has to be a chance. And I think the linebackers got to be a lot better. You know, I'd like to see them. They're not playing fast. Like David Agwebu in particular, I feel like he's playing slow at times. I feel like Danny Stutzman, he's getting stuck on blocks at times. Like, to me, those guys also can really up their level of game. And I'll just be honest too, like at times they haven't been, and you heard Key referencing gap sound. They haven't been gap sound. Like they've been out of gaps, and part of that's not being able to get off blocks, and part of that's playing slow and being late and not getting to where you need to be. Like that's what you worked on for 2 straight weeks in this bye week. You worked on those things. You worked on those fundamentals of being gap sound, of being a better tackling team. It needs to show up in Ames on Saturday. If there was ever a time to feel better about yourself defensively, especially stopping the run, it's this week against Iowa State. And don't let it go the other way. And I'll throw it back to you. If that happens, if they're able to be better against the run, can Hunter Deckers beat them? Like, can the arm of the big lefty, can he beat them through the air? Because I'm not saying he can't, but I think it'd be hard.
I completely agree, right? If you make him one-dimensional, even with some of the weapons he's got, right? And they've got a couple of really good wide receivers. Xavier Hutchinson's a dude now.
He's a dude.
But Hunter Deckers he's been very inconsistent throwing the ball. There's one thing he's consistently done. If he's under pressure, he'll throw it to you.
Yeah.
And that's the key. And you know this as well as anyone. Defense, it all works together. You play gap sound, you stop the run, you force them into predictable pass situations, you allow the defensive line for Oklahoma to pin their ears back and go get him. Like, the key will be stopping the run. And then in those predictable passing situations, they got to pressure Deckers. He is a guy, I've seen it a lot on tape. If he's comfortable and that pocket is solid, he's like a lot of other quarterbacks in this conference. If those are the conditions he's playing in, right, comfortable conditions, he's good. I mean, he's good. He'll miss some throws, but he's way better if he's got a clean pocket. Pocket can't be clean. Just can't be. Whether it's Reggie Grimes, Ethan Downs, or Mason Thomas, now that he's back on the field, like you have to make him feel that heat. Jalen Redmond in the interior. You have to make him feel that heat in those predictable passing situations.
And I think that's big. You mentioned our Mason Thomas. He brings a different dynamic than the other pass rushers that Oklahoma has, right? He's more twitchy. He's more extremely quick off the ball, going to make those defensive ends really bend. Whereas Reggie and Ethan are bigger, bulkier guys. You're not going to get that twitch, that speed, and being able to turn and dip the edge the way that he can. So I think just getting, having him back into the fold as a regular pass rush situation rusher, I think it's going to help this group collectively. But there's no doubt, got to do a better job getting pressure on the quarterback. And I'm okay with pressures. I'm fine with it. Like, some pressures at times are good. I just don't know if on the back end they're in a good enough place where you can live off that. There's got to be times, whether it's 3, whether it's 4, you're able to get home with just your front. It has to be something that takes place in this game, and really something that needs to start taking place more often the latter half of this season. Again, one of the things that made Brent Venables so great is the way he can disguise, he can confuse, and he is not afraid to dial up pressures. And everyone loves that. But man, you cannot just live off of that. You can't. You still have to be able. And part of that too is showing it and then bailing on it. But you've made the calls as an offensive line, and now all of a sudden that sets up some of those rushers in advantageous situations. And when that happens, you've got to be able to make them pay and take advantage of it. And we have not seen this defensive line consistently in pass rush situations in Big 12 play take advantage of some of those situations they found themselves in.
No, but we'll see if they can do it Saturday. Man, I am very interested to see how the defense plays.
If not now, when? This is a game that Oklahoma defensively should find themselves in a much better place than what we've seen them as of late. Big thanks to Muse Growth Strategies for continuing to help us spread the word about strengthening Oklahoma. And a reminder to subscribe to the podcast on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. Just push that little subscribe button. Give us a click. It would be most appreciated. And you can always check out our website at strengtheningok.com. And as we always say to our subscribers who have been there from day one, we thank you. To our new subscribers, the new people, giving us a chance, giving us a listen, and helping support our team and our players here at Strengthening Oklahoma. We appreciate you. We thank you. And we'll see you again next time right here on Strengthening Oklahoma.